Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It is Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. Locations across the state of Florida. Right there is Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Go check them out. Buy you some new jewelry at International Diamond Center. Comfort Tip Heating and Air is your #1 local HVAC company. Comfort is their business. Peace of mind is their promise. Today's show, we'll have Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show, and then we'll have Buck Belue, former Georgia quarterback. He has his own show called the Buck Belue Show up in Atlanta. And we'll get his thoughts on Florida, Georgia this weekend. If you missed it last night, 18 innings, the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman walks it off, 6-5. I did not stay away. Also, Chiefs beat the Redskins 28-7. And I guess game 4 is tonight in the World Series. Let's go to the Titan and More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tip. We're joined by the host of the Buddy Martin Show. This man's been causing a lot of controversy out there today. Last couple of days. Buddy, what's going on, my man?
Well, baseball for sure, and I didn't make it through to the 18th. I stayed up at the 17th. I fell asleep, woke up and saw incredible finish through that. World Series has been a lot of fun this year. And we've been detracted. We've had the other things in our mind. I remember, Shane, one time I went to a seminar in New York City for newspaper sports editors many, many years ago. And you got your sections critiqued and whatever. And I was in with a kind of a medium-sized group at the time, and they were mostly Northeasterners. And they picked up my paper from the weekend in Florida, Georgia, and said, how could you possibly play a football game over the World Series? I said, you don't get it. Florida, Georgia is not just a football game, okay? They couldn't quite grasp that. But it is this weekend, and it means a little something to everybody, and World Series been a little bit of a distraction, which is good. We needed that. Take a breath. And Shane, did you get any calls last night from Lane Kiffin? I want to know right now.
I didn't, buddy.
Okay.
I don't think he has my number. I don't have his number either.
Nobody does have your number, Shane.
No, here's what people don't realize. Nothing is going to be said or known until after the Egg Bowl, in my opinion. There's no reason, right?
Well, except for fans, they're going to talk about it all the time. But officially, no, they're not going to let you know anything unless Lane says to heck with it. Let's just go ahead and announce it, and I'm going to tell my team. But I don't think he'll do that. I feel badly for these coaches. Shane, you're the son of a coach, not at the same level, obviously. But college coaches today, if you're doing well, and Lane said it last night and said it to his team, the reason they're after him is his players have played good. And when you play good and you win, then people look at how people have been elevated this year in the coaching searches. I mean, names we barely heard of now are one of the top 10s. So you're right, the process will play out. But meanwhile, Shane, this goes on in the background. This is what's going on. This is kind of back channel conversation. And as we documented last week, Florida has already let them know they're willing to open the bidding at 13.5 over 7 years for $81 million. And so the price of poker has just gone up naturally since LSU. But you say you stuck to your guns. You don't care who it is. You don't think he'll go to LSU. You think Lane will come to Florida.
I do. And again, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think he's going to do everything he can to win as many games as he can at Ole Miss. And then I do think he will be our coach. And I hope that's the case. If not, we'll move on to somebody else.
Shane, is that based on your knowledge of him, your friendship with him, what people talk?
I'm not really friends with him.
No, I know. I'm just asking.
I just think he's the best coach for our job.
We all agree that, yeah.
Right. And I have been told by people extremely close to him that Florida's always been his dream job. Now, that doesn't mean he takes it. But, buddy, he could easily just come out yesterday and say, I am staying at Ole Miss. I don't, whether it's leverage, all this. money is not going to be a factor with him. The dude's
Well, he
made a lot
said
of money.
that. He said that it
Right,
didn't
right.
matter to him.
But for any of these coaches, the money is irrelevant. They've already made a shitload of money, regardless of where you've been, right? If you coach college football, you're making a lot of money. And just a couple
Your
extra $1 million
coach,
is not going to change your
right?
life.
I agree. Your coach
So,
has said, "I made a mistake taking a job for money. I'll never do it again." And he
right.
did when he went to coach the
In
Redskins.
today's world, money is not even an issue, I don't think, with these coaches. Now, maybe when Jimbo Fisher signed that huge deal at A&M, I don't know what he was getting from Florida State at the time, but regardless of all that, I know how coaches think
Hmm.
because they've been a part of my whole life. I know how the great coaches think.
Hmm.
And and I'll say it again, I think what Lane has done is one of the greatest accomplishments in college football history, what he's done at Ole Miss. Does he want to stay there? He might. But does he want to go to the bigger brand that will give him, I don't want to say an easier opportunity. And I don't want to hear this nonsense about the portals, this, that, has changed football. It has. But when he can get the pick of the litter, so to speak, in one of these major brands, it's different. And so I'm sticking to my guns. If I'm wrong, people can take shots at me. I don't care because my life will move on.
Well, that's
Um,
how you played your position. You're throwing the ball deep, and they pick it off. They pick it off. You don't care. You have to have that gunfighter's mentality, and I think you're right about what you're saying. But we also know this changes diabolically within minutes. Anything can happen. I mean, if I told you when the season started, Brian Kelly would be fired, you'd be shocked. I didn't. I never liked him. I never thought he was a good fit. Hey, by the way, the best tweet that I've heard about, I know this guy, about firing of Brian Kelly. Quote, it's a shame because it feels like he was so close to really nailing that accent.
yeah.
So anyway, so yes, here we go. I mean, college football, that's why we love it, Shane. There's always something surprising and, it changes rapidly. And, who knows? Maybe Brian Kelly will be the next coach and UCLA, I don't know. Whatever he wants to do.
He may
But
not want to coach anymore. I mean, he's up there in age.
he's mad. Yeah, what is he turning 70 soon? I
He's
don't
got to
know.
be close to it.
Yeah.
So this is from yesterday, a text on the Titan Mar text line because JC and I were discussing. Um, this just says, what's more distracting, telling the team he's leaving after the season or staying quiet and allowing the rumors to persist? He could shut it down immediately, but he hasn't. That's where, yeah, I agree with that.
Well, yeah, and let's be honest, he enjoys it. He enjoys it, and he so cleverly turned things his way by having the meeting before the Georgia game. Oh, it's the Georgia game, or was it this way? I guess it was this way. Well, and when he said, "Look, the reason we're getting these offers, just like you guys, when you play well, you get calls from other teams. Hey, I see you play well. Come play for us. I'll give you more money." He said, "The reason I'm getting these is because you played well." He kind of played it off like that, which I thought was smart. And we'll see. I think it's going to be a fascinating finish to it. I disagree on one thing. I think that LSU might just be more than he can just say no to. It's the best job out there, although we don't think so. But it's the best job out there, and But again, if it's not money, what is it? And we'll see what Lane does. But I hope you're right. I sure think Florida desperately needs Lane Kiffin right now.
Absolutely. Adam says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. He says, watching the Ole Miss versus Oklahoma game, Lane
Oklahoma, yeah.
exploited and an elite defense in Oklahoma. His offense is dynamic. Yes, he's as good as anybody scheming people up.
Hmm.
Um, Charles has a question for you, buddy,
Yeah.
on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. Buddy, why did you break the Kiffin offer? Does it hurt our chances of landing Kiffin?
It doesn't matter. That's not my job. I'm not here to recruit coaches for Florida. And by the way, I'd had not nearly as much to do that with my team. They did a fantastic job. It's called journalism. You mentioned last night you don't know about journalism. Journalism is you don't find the answers first and go justify them. You go looking and you get information. It would be irresponsible of a journalist to have information like we had from a great source that said Florida has tendered an offer. I don't care what it does. It's what is the news, what people want to hear about. I'm not here to sign Florida's coach. I hope it's going to be Lane Kiffin. But if I went around like that, Shane, I'd be like you saying, "Oh, I'm gonna drop back and throw a pass, but it might get intercepted." It's what journalists do. And I'm extremely proud of my team that put this together while I was at the hospital. And I just sort of looked it over and said, yeah, man, that's great. And why are they so upset? Well, because it's true. That's why. Journalism is supposed to be truth, and it's without fear and favor and whatever. Don't get me on my soapbox, but that's what journalists do, as opposed to people who have opinions and have 15 followers on Twitter and put it out there and say, I believe this. Who cares what you believe? It's what the people say who know. And this information came from a person who is a gold-plated source. Put it out there because that's what our job is. GatorBaitMedia.com is a bunch of journalists. That's why.
Greg from Fort Myers on the Titan Mart text line sent me a screenshot of the updated odds from Bet Online.
Yeah, I saw that.
He says Drinkwitz is the favorite at minus 105.
Yeah.
Franklin's plus 200. Kiffin's now at plus 300. Jed Fish at 900. Brahm at 1,000. We'll see. We'll see. All right, Chris in Mayaka says, Billy G said yesterday that they have been running a lot of routes on air the last week. Holy cow. I get the impression that isn't normal for them. Can 2 weeks of heavy routes on air greatly improve our passing game this quickly? I'm a huge routes on air guy because that's what I was taught by Coach Spurrier. So I would have think with Bubba Spurrier being involved more now, their routes on air teach you spacing, timing, and it helps with your accuracy and your anticipation. So it could help. Still got to read the defense though.
You certainly can help, and Billy Gonzalez said yesterday, I don't know any other way they can do it and get better without throwing the ball and catching the ball with each other. Shane, you weren't here, but back in the great '69 team, Reeves and Alvarez, Reeves the grandfather for young Knox, the great player at Florida. I saw him play. What a great arm he had. And he and Carlos Alvarez, they threw thousands of times over the summer on their own when you couldn't work out players. And you know yourself, despite the fact there's this myth that Spurrier has a magic touch where he goes out and says, okay, you're a quarterback and you're a receiver and you'll be great. It's work. It's getting it right. It's throwing. It's running the. No one anticipate. You like to talk about throwing people open. You don't throw people open unless you know who you're throwing to. So I'm telling you all about what you already know. I'm just saying routes on air, they don't score any points, but they lead to scoring points. And to me, it's very important. And it's one of the things that hurt DJ is that he didn't have enough of that before the season started.
Well, a lot of coaches around the country don't believe in routes on air. A lot. I am a huge proponent of throwing routes on air.
Yeah, they're the ones that believe in 3 yards in the crowd.
I'd rather throw an hour of routes on air than go against 11 on 11.
Really?
I would. All right, this text here on the Titan Mart text line, Rick in Jupiter says, can you ask Buddy as a Heisman voter if he has watched Mendoza yet, and what are your top candidates?
Yeah, I'm a Heisman voter, have been for about 40 years, and at this point in time, I don't have my list. I don't start making it until November. We all know the obvious ones. I've not seen
There are no obvious ones, though.
No, that's true. But I have not seen him in this play yet. I'll admit to that. I don't like to even think of a list without seeing everybody play. There's some decent players on there, but no, I haven't. He's apparently what, the number 2 guy right now, they're saying?
I would, my top 3, if I was voting in no particular order, would be Mendoza, Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah, I agree on Trinidad.
And Marcel Reed.
Haven't seen enough of Marcel Reed, but things change. You got to win in November, Shane. You got to win in November. You can get knocked out the race really easy, as we've seen already. So, yeah, Heisman is no doubt the fact that we're going to be focusing on that. But you got to win these games in November. And by the way, we know it's November because why? The world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and yes, I'm calling it that, is this Saturday. And it's going to be, and you can help.
I'm going to call it that on the radio. You think I'll get in trouble?
probably because
I
you're
don't
so
care. I'm
Florida.
doing it.
It's like people don't want you to say Gator bait, because
Yeah.
they think that's somehow racist, whatever it may be. But you can't let the police like that tell you what to think. No, I
It is
would
the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, regardless of what anybody wants to say.
exactly because but it's a good thing. It's not. I know there's a big kick right now about not drinking. Have you seen about that sober October and all that stuff? And I understand the dangers of alcohol, and I know what they're trying to do. But it is a cocktail party. By the way, Shane, there are people who actually go to cocktail parties not just to drink. They are there to go to socialize as well. So, yeah,
I
we'll
know many
see.
people that go just to tailgate and then leave.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So who was there? That's all. So anyway, say who's the guy employed right now who's the first guy should be fired you can think of in college football?
Who
Who
do I
should
think is
be?
going to be the next coach fired?
No, no, I didn't say coach. Who in college football should be fired and will not be? You
Well, that's
know
what I
who
just
it
asked. I
is.
said, what coach? And you said not a coach.
That's what I said, not a coach.
So you mean like an athletic director?
That's correct.
Well, the Scott Woodward guy has signed has his last two football hires made zero playoff appearances, and they paid him $130 million to quit coaching.
That's correct.
That doesn't sound very like a very good AD to me.
How does the guy keep his job? I mean, really. I mean, and the other guy is Tim Brando. I'm sick and tired of Tim Brando out there raining on the parade of other people, telling Gator fans how they ought to be acting. He better worry about his own backyard, his beloved LSU Tigers. But this is one of the, perhaps, I've made some bad tweets. You probably made a few, but I think this is one of the worst I've ever heard of. This is after criticizing Florida all over for the last few weeks. Gator fans are sick of Tim Brando. He tweets this, okay? Right before the firing. Scott Woodard's a proud AD, and he chose BK, I don't mean Burger King, and regardless of what Bingo Barney and Buck Belue scream in public, it's his call, and I don't see a dismissal and buyout taking place. Not now, anyway. Whoa, bad timing, Tim.
Bruce Ogre State Farm also a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. We got Buddy Martin here. We'll have Buck Belue. Buddy, it's kind of crazy. We're playing Georgia this week, and it's
Mhm.
like I can't get into it because it's all this coach, that coach, whatever. We still got to go play a game. Um, what are your thoughts going into this game?
Well, I think Billy Gonzalez has done a beautiful job. I loved his press conference yesterday. He's excited about playing this game. You can tell. He's done it in such a classy way. I love what he talked about yesterday, about how when he was a young assistant coach, he had to line the field, get paid, go out and line the practice field and then whatever. He said, now when I'm in the office here in the swamp, I look out my window and I see it being done on the field by a robot doing that. They ask him about where does he park now? Because obviously he has a head coach's spot. So I park in my regular spot. I don't, it's out of respect for Coach Napier. And he talked about what a great thing it was for him to come from Division III all the way up the ladder. He respects the job, respects the players. They respect him. He's going to go play and see what happens. I love that attitude. And that's the only way you should approach it. So, yeah, I think by the time it gets to Thursday, we'll begin to think more and more about the game and less about all the other stuff. By the way, I'll be on the Lauren Smith show on Saturday. I'll be on his pregame show, and you don't get the Bulldog Network, but I love Lauren. I've known him a long time. It'll be fun to be on that program, and I'm going to get jacked up by the time it comes.
Well, I'll tell you, Billy Gonzalez is in a good position. There's zero pressure on him. You can just go coach
Yeah.
and have fun. Um, Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law. Shane, knowing the Bell so well, do you think Cade and Kerwin could coach together like Lane and Money did? Well, they coached together at Western Carolina um, and at Valdosta State. Cade's now at Pitt. I would say if Cade ever, Cade's only 30, I think. Kerwin's in the 60s. So I could see Kerwin at some point down the road, 10 or 15 years, being like an analyst or something for Cade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great,
for sure.
great offensive mind. Great offensive mind.
Yeah, they're both very, very good.
Shane, I
Uh,
got a question for you. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Go ahead when you get done.
no, I'm done. What you got?
Who do you think the most underrated player is on the Florida Gator football team right now?
Most underrated
The
player.
most underrated player on the entire team. Aside from the kids who stepped up and played as freshmen beautifully last week in the secondary, the newcomers, but the guy who has been so consistent.
I don't know if
And
he's underrated, but I think the best player on our football team, maybe, well, maybe not on the entire team, but defensively is Ernest Graham. I mean, Miles Graham.
okay, can't argue that, but here's the deal. Trey Smack,
Oh
one
yeah,
of one of five kickers in the country with three or more 50-yard plus field goals this season.
but he missed some crucial ones against
Well, he
South
did.
Florida.
He's 8-11 in his career from 50 yards, and he may come into play. He's got that big foot, that could be in a game like Georgia. Chase Mack's he had that bad time. Every kicker has a bad spell, but I just think he's kicking beautifully right now. We ordinarily wouldn't be talking about him, but he is playing great.
Yeah, it's usually not good when you when you talk about your kicker, right?
No, it's not, but you got to give it up where you got it. I mean, would you like not to have him? No, he's a valuable tool. And the guy in these final few games, those 3 points, 6 points are going to make a difference, Shane. And Florida, by the way, opens up at 7.5 point underdog. The over under is 50.5. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go. Have you?
About what?
Which way are you going to go on the line? Plus
I
seven.
don't pick the Gator games, but I don't. I think Georgia's pretty good. I think Georgia's got one of their better offenses they've had in a long time.
Mhm.
We'll see. We'll see. This text says, I don't agree with Buddy on everything, but he is correct. Journalists research and drop factual info. There is a code for true journalists. And as long as Buddy has been doing this, I don't believe he wouldn't have published it without the source being ironclad.
Thank you. It wasn't me, by the way. I wish I could take credit, but it wasn't me. It was my team. And the person who was the number one source, there were several, I've known for 30 something years. And he has some ties to Ole Miss, by the way. So it wasn't something we made up, it's something that we discovered. And what difference does it make? It just matters to me because it shows what we hope would happen. Florida stepped up. They made a move. And they may not get their guy, but they made a move. Maybe a little too late. Some people are saying that basically that Strickland screwed it up because he could have gotten him last year. Do you believe that Lane wanted to come last year? Because some people say he did, and Strickland shot it down to keep Billy. Have you heard that?
Yep, we won those. We beat LSU and Ole Miss somehow.
Yeah.
I'm in the minority because if you go back and you watch those tapes, you're like, how did Ole Miss? I mean, how did those two teams lose to the Gators? Um, but there's nothing you can do about it. Mike's question is Mizell injured? Yes, he's banged up a lot. I don't know if he'll play in this game. I don't know if Vernell Brown will be playing in this
Yeah,
game.
we were supposed to find out yesterday if he practiced. Did anybody hear? I didn't hear. That's what Billy said in his press release. We'll find out today he's going to practice. That's a big loss because he's
Yeah,
been.
we got a lot of people asking here about Jed Fish watching the Huskies. He's a good coach, but look at Jed's resume, man. I know Jed personally. I like
Very
Jed.
thin, very thin.
He's got a ton. He's coached it. He probably has coached it more. If you look at all the candidates, so to speak, maybe there's 8 candidates for the job. He has almost doubled every coach's stops. It's amazing how many different places he has coached, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But go look at it. It's
Well, tell
great.
us about Jed Fish. I don't know him. He obviously knows Coach Spurrier.
Well,
He
here's what
claims to be.
Jed never played football. He went
Mhm.
to school here. He was from like New Jersey, went to school here. He wanted to get into coaching. He used to leave notes on coach's car. And finally, I think Jamie Speronis, they let him be like a volunteer or something. And that's how his coaching career started. Um, and he coached at probably 12 different stops in the NFL, like every year. He's coached college ball before. I mean, he's a good coach, but I just don't see that happening.
Mhm.
Just don't see it happening.
I don't either. And I don't know enough about him. I love Billy Gonzalez's story yesterday. I never heard it clarified about how he was he came to Colorado State. He was coming to coach the slot receivers, but he was through his school and he was really going to do it for free and work for Urban. He didn't play for Urban. He didn't, so he was all set to go to be his receivers coach, and then he got a job. He got a small college job, and he went and coached there instead. And then he went. Did he come from Murray State or someplace? Anyway, he wound up being a coach, and Urban speaks very highly of him. Urban called him my guy the other day, as if I wasn't sure he didn't play for Urban at Colorado State, but he did not.
Franklin says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, I think Billy said yesterday that Vernell Brown the third is out. I would be surprised if he would play with that shoulder. Monty says on the Titan MR text line, if UF wins out or even goes 4-1 and wins their bowl game, can we conclude that the problem was Billy Napier? I mean, possibly.
Well, he was the man.
Going 4-1 is going to be difficult, though.
He was the man, and
somebody wants to know what routes on air are.
Okay,
yeah, routes on air means you line up the quarterback, and then depending on what formations, most people just line up and put two receivers to the right, two to the left. The outside receiver runs a certain route. Quarterback drops back, fires it to him. Now the slot receiver runs a route, throw to him. Then you go to this slot receiver to the left, and then the outside receiver to the left. And you just pick and choose different concepts and things of that nature, but that's how you learn how to throw the football and throw it well.
Good explanation. Sometimes we get too caught up in terminology and too caught up in football terms, and the average person just doesn't know. So that's a good job of explaining
it. Harrison says Gunnar Stockton is the type of QB that can give our defense nightmares. Thinks it's a shootout this year. Somebody asked me about Gunnar Stockton playing this year, what I thought about him. I like him a lot.
I do too.
He's a tough,
gritty.
He's Kirby Smart playing quarterback.
Wow, good description. Good description.
Tough dude. He won a lot of high school football games, I was told. Like I think he set a lot of records for wins as a quarterback wherever he went to high school. But he's just a gritty football player, makes plays with his legs, can throw it well when he needs to. I think the Georgia offense is the best they've had since Stetson Bennett.
Do you really?
I do. So
Can they run the ball?
I think they run it okay. I don't have the stats in front of me, but
I don't know either. I know there's been times when he hasn't surprisingly been able to run it as good. I guess we're used to seeing Georgia run it good all the time, but they don't always. So
yeah. All right, buddy, who you got on the program tonight?
Well, it's Lauren Meadows tonight. He'll be on with his team, and he'll break down the situation, latest information on the coach's situation. Lauren does a great job. The lowdown with Lauren Meadows, 9 o'clock on the same channel that we always on, and he does a good job. So tomorrow night we'll have our crew back, and we'll have Alec Peak Wilbur, and I think a few other people you know. So it's going to be a good week, good time, a good thing. And Shane, enjoy it. Keep up the good work, okay?
Okay, real quick, buddy. We had somebody text on the Titan MR text line wanting your thoughts. If Lane does not come out within the regular season and say that he is staying, do you think that means he leaves?
No.
You think he could not say anything and still stay?
Yes. Yes, I think and here's the thing, it's about time. And Scott Strickland said one thing he loves is time, and he needs time. He's going to get time, but it may not lead his way. I still stick to the theory. It's just the theory. I have no information that he's going to wind up staying at Ole Miss, because if money doesn't motivate him, and he said again last night, he's never been motivated by money.
Yeah, that's not going to be an issue. It's going to come down to.
Well, he wants to carve out his legacy and be in Florida or Ole Miss or whatever. So he's in a great spot. By the way, to be Jimmy Sexton today. Oh my gosh. That guy is so lucky. He gets so many players. He makes so much money. And Lane said last night, I don't care about money, but Jimmy Sexton said, stop saying that.
Chris says here, he just tuned in. He said that Frank Frangie reported that John Gruden will be hired as our head coach. No,
it's not going to happen.
I think I have as good a chance, and my name ain't even in the hat.
Yeah.
To be the coach before John Gruden.
Yeah, I think that's a promise to somebody that said before we hire anybody, we'll interview John Gruden. John Gruden is not the guy now for Florida. He might have been at one time. He was a great coach, I thought. I loved his teams.
But if you look at his record, people want to say, well, look at his record. His record is like 500 or less.
But he won the big one.
He did win the big one with Tony Dungy's players.
Whatever. That's what he had.
And no, I think he's a good player. He is a terrible fit for us.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, our players they wouldn't be able to run this offense. I'm telling you.
Wouldn't relate to John Gruden any more than I would relate to Barack Obama or Donald Trump, whatever the case may be.
People say here it depends on the Ole Miss playoff run. I don't think that has any bearing on what Lane
He
does.
knows what he's going to do.
It has zero bearing on what he decides to do. Zero.
Well, what will have the bearing, Shane?
I think he already knows what he's going to do.
You do. You think he's going to play that hand?
Yeah. I don't think he's playing anything. I think, like I told JC yesterday, he has something to do at Ole Miss that hasn't been done since Johnny Vaught back in the old days, right?
Yeah.
And I still think, whatever his decision is, I think he will tell his team after the Mississippi State game and say, look, I'm staying. Let's go see what we can do. Or I'm going to Florida, but we're going to still try to win the national title.
Yeah, I think it's what he wants.
Because the players aren't going to care. People think the players are going to care. They're not, because he can bring whoever he wants to next school, right? Or Lane could say, you know what, I'm going back to coach the Oakland Raiders.
He won't do that.
I think he will tell them at the end of the year, but we'll see.
Shane, tell me one more time.
This guy keeps telling me Lane Kiffin is not coming to Florida.
How does he know?
He doesn't know a damn thing.
I love these people who say they think they know. They don't know crap, okay? Shane and I don't know crap. We know a little more than they know, and we have a pretty good source here and there. I want to say, help me out on this again. I look at this great picture of Knox, who, by the way, had another great game back-to-back for Oxford. And he's starting his first start. He won. Come back and win. He and Layla, beautiful Layla, they're sitting there. I'm thinking, tell me again why you don't think that he wouldn't come to play for Buchholz or play in Gainesville, and why that wouldn't matter. And he says, I'm not coming to Gainesville. And he said he didn't want to be coached by his father. But don't you think that'd be a great fit for him to come and play for, Gainesville High? I don't know the situation.
I don't know if any of that plays into the factor.
Oh, I bet it would.
I don't. But you got to think about, it doesn't, like coaches, they're not going to sit there and say, okay, am I not going to move because of a high school my kid's at? If my kid's a good enough player, and Knox is a good player, but he just started the last two games because the starter is out with concussion. So you can play high school football anywhere. And if you're a good enough player, you're going to go to college, right? So it does not matter. And maybe that's what I would look at it if I was in that situation. I'm going to look at where's the best place for me to continue my career of reaching the goals I want to reach.
I hear you, but it does just one of the pieces. And you had a son.
I know that, but my dad was offered the Pascagoula job.
Yeah.
After my sophomore year at Cleveland High School, where he was the head coach. He says, he asked me, do you want to stay or do you want to move? I went down and visited. I said, let's move. And we were in a great place where we've been. I just don't think that stuff matters. Lane's going to make the decision what's best for him and his family, but I don't think it has anything to do with playing high school football. I really don't.
It's a great feeling, though. And I have a son who moved from Denver to Florida and played at Nice High School, by the way. I was a 138-pound tight end. And his nickname was Coors Light because that's the T-shirt he wore from Colorado. They didn't know his name for 3 weeks. They called him Coors Light. Told the papers, Coors Light. And it's a great feeling when they do well. You'd like that to be a part of it. You want everybody to be happy. I wish him the best. And I think maybe, we'll see what Doc says later about that. He's running his mouth right now. I'd never go to the Gainesville, etc. Yes, he will if this situation is right. Why couldn't he go and play there? He could. That would be another piece for Shane, for Lane, Shane Lane. I never thought of that before. To make it a happy place for everybody, including Layla.
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't have Buck Belue, but maybe we can get him, buddy. Good stuff as always. and we will talk to you next week, my man.
Yes, sir. Let's have a good week and let's enjoy this thing while we got it. And it's going to be a fun game, and I'm looking forward to it, Shane. Thanks. Great job. And I'll talk to you later this week.
All right, that's Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We'll take a quick timeout, come back. Hopefully, we'll be joined by Buck Belue. If not, I'll get to a million of these questions. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, UF Health Orthopedics. Our gridiron sponsors are Baker's Sports, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Advocare, and MG&A Wealth. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And if you want to advertise, give my man Freddie a call at 352-284-3733.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
The jewelry store with the most likes, the most positive reviews, the most raving fans is International Diamond Center.
IDC is definitely a place that I will come to as long as I live here. This will be my go-to place always.
Literally the best jewelry store in town. You'll make friends for life coming in here. I felt like family from the beginning. The value was extraordinary.
I've got a beautiful diamond on my finger and I'm very proud of it.
International Diamond Center.
I'm very happy to show it off.
At Celebration Point and online at shopidc.com.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. When Urban Meyer wanted to introduce his high-quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurs Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go beyond with smooth Los Landeros tequila. We're waiting on Buck Belue. We may not get him today. This big red dog guy here cracks me up. Anyway, Sean says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, Kiffin isn't coming here. Don't be fooled by these podcasts. They're clickbaiting you. They're not clickbaiting me, buddy. I know a lot of family members, okay? I know a lot of Ole Miss people as well. I will be surprised if he's not our coach. I'm going to leave it at that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't give a damn. But I will be surprised. Vance says Lane is a big school coach. I feel as though Ole Miss was his stepping stone to get back to one of the big programs. There are more reasons to coach at Florida than Ole Miss. It's just that simple. Yeah, I mean, look, I said it. I say it every day on this show. I know how these great coaches think because I'm around them all the time. He will not retire at Ole Miss. I will say that. There's no way. There's no way. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. We're proud member Stephen or Spurrier Banks. This Day in Sports, this would be in 2011. The St. Louis Cardinals beat the Texas Rangers 6-2 in Game 7 at Busch Stadium to win the Cardinals' 11th title. The MVP was third baseman David Freese. And we got Game 4 tonight, I believe, right? Let's see here real quick. Baseball. Yep. We got Game 4 tonight, 8 o'clock. I think Ohtani is pitching. Boy, what a player he is. We have NCAA college football tonight. You got a little UTEP at Kennesaw State and James Madison against the Bobcats at Texas State. So there you have it. And you got a lot of NBA to watch. We also have tomorrow, we'll have Chris Harry. We're supposed to have Chris Harry and Tony Barnhart tomorrow. Chris Harry will talk about Gators tip-off, I think, Monday out in Vegas. Go Gators on YouTube, brought to you by Quality, says, Shane, how deep do we let the playoff go for Lane before you have to make a decision? I'd hate to be pissing in the wind until late December. I wouldn't care. I would not care. Because what people don't understand is we can sit here and talk on podcasts about this coach, that coach. There's other podcasts. People think they know this. Look, the agents, the ADs, the boosters, all those people have been talking for weeks and months. Okay. I think they will have something in place if it's going to be him, and we won't know that, but they're not going to come out and tell you this. I'm telling you that right now. It's all behind closed doors. So I think he will tell his team what his plans are after the Egg Bowl, is my thoughts. All right, we got Buck Belue now, former Georgia quarterback. He also hosts the Buck Belue Show up there in Atlanta. Buck, can you hear me? You there, Buck?
Yeah.
Appreciate you joining us, my man. I want to get your thoughts real quick on this Florida-Georgia game. I've had a lot of people ask me, next year we're going to Atlanta and then to Tampa. You as a former player, you grew up in South Georgia, so not far from Jacksonville. Are you one of these that wants to keep it in Jacksonville, or do you want to go like to neutral sites and home and home?
Yeah, I'd love for it to stay in Jacksonville. I just think it makes it so unique. Basically, what do we have? Oklahoma and Texas playing in Dallas every year. I just loved the going to the venue when I was a player. It was really a sort of a bowl game atmosphere during a time in the season where you're really just trying to grind it out. So it was a breath of fresh air. And just coming from South Georgia, growing up in Valdosta, it was a thrill. Gosh, they even had a parade in Valdosta where the Gator fans and the Bulldog fans would come out and have a parade downtown Atlanta, downtown Valdosta. So, look, I just loved it. I love the 50-50 split. You didn't get it anywhere else. You were either playing at home with everybody for you, or you were on the road where everybody's against you. It's just so unique, and I just loved it. So I would love to see it stay there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, let's talk about this year's Georgia team. I would say I have not watched them play a complete game because of the radio broadcast, but what I've seen, highlights and stuff, I feel like they have a much better offense than they've had the last couple of years. Defensively, may not be as stout. Would that be accurate?
This is the youngest team Kirby Smart's ever had. So they're playing a lot of first and second year players. And so there's been a growth process, a process of these guys coaching these guys up. So, they're playing a lot of these guys on the line of scrimmage. You're seeing freshmen playing on the offensive line. You're seeing young players, redshirt freshmen on the defensive line. So that's been the biggest change, as I see it, is on the line of scrimmage. You've got a lot of young guys rolling in and out. And I think overall they've done a good job. I'd like to give credit to the coaching staff. Kirby does a great job of recruiting, and then they do a great job of developing these players once they get on campus.
JB wants me to ask you real quick on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Ask Buck who will win the Wintersville Classic Friday night, Lowndes or Valdosta?
Well, it looks like Lowndes is having the better season. That I was reminded of, the game. Lowndes had never beaten Valdosta until my senior year, Shane. So that was one of those memories you don't ever forget.
Talk about Gunnar Stockton. I wouldn't say he's one of these prototypical type quarterbacks, but boy, he's gritty and just finds ways to win games. How's he played in your mind so far this year?
Well, look at the total QBR, and he's number 2 in college football. So I would think all these advanced analytics are saying that he's playing at an extremely high level. He's a quarterback, Shane, that does everything well. Maybe not anything that's going to wow you, but just a solid player all the way around. And the players just love him. He is he's a throwback kind of guy. I mean, that's what he reminds me of, is one of these quarterbacks in the 60s, 70s that can do a little bit of everything. And I just wish he would learn to protect himself a little better. He's taken some shots that I've never seen any quarterback take and get right back up and get to the huddle. Does a good job of managing the game, which I think is a compliment, not a criticism. And, the guy can make the throws and also, pull that thing down and run with it when he needs to. So, just good at everything.
Yeah, he's a good player. Buck, when you look at this series, I mean, obviously Kirby's been there, what? Is this his 12th year?
10th year.
Yeah.
10th.
Think about how many coaching changes the Gators have had since Kirby's gotten there. I mean, you do your own show. We'll talk about it here in a minute up in Atlanta. Who do you think is going to be the next Gator coach?
Gosh, that's a good Billy Gonzalez.
He'll be showing up there Saturday. I promise you that.
Yeah, and I like what he's saying. Let's spread it out a little bit and get the ball to these young playmakers in space. I do like that message. It's been from the outside looking in. It's a great program. Obviously, it's got a lot of advantages. They just can't seem to get the right guy in there. So I would think Lane Kiffin, to me, would be the best fit. I'm not sure, what his situation at Ole Miss. Seems like he and his family are very happy in Oxford right now. There'll be other people coming after him too. But, to me, it's Lane Kiffin is the best candidate to take over in Gainesville.
Yeah, I think it's, I've talked to several friends of mine that are at different schools throughout the conference, and it's one of those deals they're hoping it's not Lane Kiffin to come to Florida because, it could be one of those Spurrier type runs and also when Urban was here. Has Georgia run the ball like a normal Georgia football team? I feel like they haven't.
Well, Shane, last year they were 15th in rushing out of 16 SEC teams. And I know they obsessed over this during the offseason. They brought in an assistant offensive line coach that had been with the Jacksonville Jaguars just to get some new concepts and new ideas. They really put an emphasis on this in the offseason. Right now, they're running it a lot better than they did last year, which was sort of an embarrassment for the Georgia program. They take pride in the run game and the running back position, and I think it's the offensive line situation's been a little bit crazy. With 7 games, I think they've had 6 different offensive line combinations where they've been mixing and matching. And, you got a couple of freshmen that are starting, playing a lot of football on the offensive line. So it's been a struggle just getting the same guys on the offensive line out on the field. Look, Ernest Green, the veteran of the group, came back for the Ole Miss game at right tackle, which I think really solidified the offensive line. The running backs, Nate Frazier, I was expecting a big season out of Nate Frazier as a sophomore. It just hadn't materialized. He's run the ball a little better. And Chauncey Bowens, who is a young running back, he's run tough. And he's been dinged up a little bit, but looks like he's back to being 100%. It's really a group thing with the running back position, unlike Ball down with the Gators, is sort of carrying the load. But they're sharing it. Cash Jones is the third down back, a really good receiver out of the backfield. Got the kid in from Illinois, McCray, that weighs about 240 pounds. He's the short yardage, red zone, goal line back. So everybody seems to have a role at the Georgia running back position. But really the key's been the offensive line. In spite of all the different combinations, they're running the ball a lot better than they did a year ago.
Yeah. I want to make an announcement here. make sure fans, if you're going to the game, get there earlier than you normally do because there's so much construction going on around the stadium. Parking's going to be an issue. They still have the parking lots, but it's just going to be a mess. So they just sent out a statement here to get there earlier than normal. You can let your people know that too, Buck, because it's a mess down there with the stadium. Um, we got to talk about Run Lindsey Run, right? That's one of the greatest plays in this rivalry game. How many times a day, or like during football season especially, do people come up to you and talk to you about that?
Well, it doesn't happen as much as it used to. But, I just saw Lindsey this past weekend. He went into the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and it brought
It
back.
took so damn long.
Well, it was only the third year.
Oh,
Only the third year. But, it brought back the first memory I had of Lindsey. We were both sophomores, and I was at Valdosta High. He was playing at Wayne County High in Jessup, and we played them in the state playoffs over at their place, and we had a 14-0 lead that sort of got away from us in the second half. They scored, made it 14-7. Then they scored again in the fourth quarter. There's about 6-8 minutes left in the game, but they went for two. And on the play, the quarterback threw this pass in the back of the end zone that seemed to be really too high for anybody to catch. It was up around the crossbar or the goalpost. And that was my first reaction was nobody's catching this. And then this receiver just rose up above our secondary players. We had a 6'4" safety. He went up over him and made a one-handed catch up around the crossbar, brought it down, and the public address announcer there just went crazy yelling, "Lindsey Scott, Lindsey Scott." And I thought, wow, this guy's something special. I was crushed after the game, though. We lost 15-14, but that was my first memory of Lindsey. And, the day I decided where I was going to college a few years later, I called my dad, said, "Dad, I've decided I'm going to go to Georgia." And my dad's first comment was, "Son, you better get in your car and drive to Jessup. Lindsey Scott's about to sign with Tennessee."
Oh, wow.
And so, I jumped in that 71 Mustang and made the trip over to Jessup and tried to convince him to follow me and join me to Georgia. Every quarterback needs a big-time receiver. Every big-time receiver needs a quarterback. And, that was a glorious day when Lindsey decided he was going to sign the dotted line.
That's good stuff. Before we get you out of here, we appreciate your time. Let everybody know how they can listen to you up in Atlanta.
Well, you can get the 680 The Fan app. That's the way most people are listening these days. Get moms able to listen to the show a little bit down in Valdosta. So, that 680thefan.com. If you're in Atlanta, 680 AM, 93.7 FM. And Shane, appreciate you coming on the show and being a part of that. This week is so special. These Bulldog and Gator fans here in Metro Atlanta just loved having you on.
Yeah, well, anytime you need me, man, you let me know. And good luck to the Dogs this week. We'll see how it goes.
Thanks, Shane. Appreciate you.
That's the great Buck Belue. Join us on the Tight No More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians. Great food and Southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.